The Young and the Restless spoilers Monday, full episode September 23, 2024. Nick Newman sat alone in the dimly lit corner of Crimson Lights, his mind racing with concern. The usually comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee did little to ease his anxiety. He had been grappling with a growing dread that Sharon was on the verge of doing something catastrophic, something that could have irreversible consequences not just for her, but for everyone involved. Her recent behavior had been erratic at best, and dangerous at worst. Nick knew Sharon better than most. They shared a complicated history filled with love, loss, and everything in between. He could sense that she was teetering on the edge, but he felt powerless to stop her. He had tried reaching out to her, offering support, a listening ear, anything to prevent her from spiraling further. But Sharon was resolute. Whatever she was planning, she seemed determined to see it through, consequences be damned. Nick understood that she needed to take responsibility for her actions, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he should be doing more to prevent a potential disaster. Desperate for a solution, Nick decided to warn Daniel Romalotti. Daniel had become a central figure in Sharon's increasingly unstable world. There were whispers that Sharon harbored ill intentions toward him, and Nick felt it was his duty to alert Daniel to the potential danger. He found Daniel at Society, casually sipping a drink at the bar. "Daniel, we need to talk," Nick said, his tone grave. Daniel looked up, slightly annoyed by the interruption. "What's up, Nick?" "It's about Sharon. I think she might be planning something against you. She's not herself these days." Daniel smirked, a hint of arrogance in his eyes. "Sharon? Come on, Nick. I can handle her. If she tries anything, she'll regret it." Nick's concern deepened. "Don't underestimate her, Daniel. She's unpredictable right now. I'm just asking you to be cautious." Daniel waved off the warning. "I appreciate the concern, but I'm not worried. If Sharon comes near me with any bad intentions, I'll make sure she thinks twice before trying that again." Nick sighed, realizing that Daniel's overconfidence was blinding him to the real danger. "Just be careful," he reiterated before leaving. Unbeknownst to Daniel, his dismissive attitude was exactly the kind of complacency that could give Sharon the upper hand. She had been studying him, understanding his routines, and waiting for the perfect moment when his guard was down. Daniel's belief that he was untouchable made him vulnerable, a fact that Sharon was keen to exploit. Meanwhile, across town, corporate tensions were reaching a boiling point. Victoria Newman strode into Billy Abbott's office at Chancellor Industries with an air of unshakable confidence. Her recent appointment as CEO of Glissade, a cutting-edge tech company, had sent ripples through the business community of Genoa City. Billy looked up from his desk, surprised to see his ex-wife standing there unannounced. "Victoria, this is a surprise. What brings you by?" Victoria's eyes were steely. "I thought it was time we had a talk." Billy leaned back in his chair, sensing the seriousness in her tone. "About what?" "About the fact that we're now direct competitors," she stated bluntly. "Glissade is moving into the same markets that Chancellor Industries has been eyeing." Billy raised an eyebrow. "So, Victor put you up to this?" She shook her head. "Father suggested it, but the decision was mine. I'm here to let you know that I'm not holding back just because of our history. I intend to lead Glissade to the top, and if that means going head-to-head with Chancellor Industries, so be it." A smirk played on Billy's lips. "Well, I wouldn't expect anything less from you. But don't think for a second that I'll make it easy for you." "Wouldn't dream of it," Victoria replied, a hint of a challenge in her voice. "Just be prepared for some stiff competition." As Victoria left, Billy couldn't help but feel a mix of admiration and apprehension. Victoria was a formidable opponent, and with Victor Newman backing her, she had resources that could pose a significant threat to his company. He knew he had to strategize carefully to stay ahead. Elsewhere, Kyle Abbott was grappling with his own set of frustrations. The news of Victoria's appointment at Glissade had blindsided him. As the CEO of Jabot Collective and a key player at Newman Enterprises, he had worked tirelessly to secure his position within the family business empire. However, Victoria's new role seemed to undermine his efforts, and worse, it felt like a direct move by Victor to sideline him. Unable to contain his frustration, Kyle stormed into Victor's office. "We need to talk," he announced, closing the door behind him. Victor looked up from his desk, his expression unreadable. Kyle, what can I do for you? Victor leaned back, his fingers steepled. Victoria is highly qualified, and Glissade needs strong leadership. I've been loyal to this family and this company, Kyle argued. I've delivered results time and again. This move undermines everything I've been working towards. Victor's gaze hardened. Loyalty? That's a strong word, Kyle. Lately, I've been questioning just where your loyalties lie. Kyle was taken aback. What are you talking about? I've heard whispers, Victor continued. Doubts about your commitment, concerns about your priorities. Perhaps you've become too comfortable. This is ridiculous, Kyle retorted. Everything I've done has been for the good of the company. Be that as it may, Victor said dismissively, I need people I can trust unequivocally. If you feel your talents are better suited elsewhere, I won't stop you. Are you firing me? Kyle asked incredulously. Consider it an opportunity, Victor replied cryptically. A chance to prove where your true loyalties lie. Kyle left the office seething. Victor's veiled threats and lack of appreciation ignited a fury within him. He had sacrificed so much for the Newman legacy, and now he was being cast aside as if he were nothing. The realization that he was no longer of value to Victor stung deeply. Over the next few days, Kyle noticed a shift in how others at the company interacted with him. Colleagues who once sought his input now avoided eye contact. Meetings he was scheduled to attend were suddenly cancelled or rescheduled without his knowledge. It became clear that Victor was orchestrating his isolation, effectively eroding his influence within the company. Feeling cornered and betrayed, Kyle began to contemplate his next move. The idea of confronting Victor directly again seemed futile. Instead, a darker thought took root, a desire for retribution. Victor had underestimated him, and Kyle was determined to show that he was not someone to be dismissed lightly. Back at Newman Enterprises, Nick's worries were intensifying. News reached him that Daniel had been attacked and was in critical condition at Genoa City Memorial Hospital. Rushing to the hospital, Nick found Phyllis Summers and Heather Stevens already there, their faces etched with concern. What happened? Nick asked breathlessly. Phyllis shook her head, tears in her eyes. He was found unconscious near the park. They think he was assaulted. A chilling suspicion gripped Nick. This is exactly what I was afraid of. Heather looked at him sharply. You think Sharon did this? Nick hesitated. I warned Daniel that Sharon might try something, but he didn't take it seriously. Phyllis's eyes widened. Are you saying Sharon attacked my son? I don't know for sure, Nick admitted, but given everything that's been happening, it's possible. Meanwhile, Sharon was nowhere to be found. She had vanished from Genoa City, leaving behind more questions than answers. The police began a search, and Nick found himself torn between his concern for Daniel and his lingering feelings for Sharon. At the same time, Billy was strategizing on how to counter Victoria's aggressive business moves. He met with his team at Chancellor Industries, urging them to innovate and stay ahead of Glissade's advances. However, he couldn't shake the feeling that Victoria had an inside track, possibly using her connections to gain an unfair advantage. Determined to find out, Billy arranged a discreet meeting with a contact inside Glissade. What he learned confirmed his suspicions. Victoria was leveraging Newman Enterprises' resources to undercut Chancellor Industries at every turn. Feeling betrayed, not just professionally but personally, Billy resolved to take the gloves off. He confronted Victoria at her office. You've crossed a line, Victoria. She looked up calmly. I'm not sure what you mean. Don't play coy, he snapped. Using Newman Enterprises to sabotage Chancellor Industries? That's low, even for you. Victoria stood up, her expression icy. This is business, Billy. If you can't handle the competition, maybe you're not cut out for this. This isn't just business, he retorted. This is personal, and you know it. She sighed. You're making this more dramatic than it needs to be. If you spend as much time focusing on your company as you do blaming others, you might not be falling behind. Fuming, Billy left, realizing that any remnants of their amicable relationship were now gone. The battle lines were drawn, and there would be no turning back. As all this unfolded, Kyle was putting his own plan into action. He began covertly reaching out to key players within Newman Enterprises and Jabot Collective, gauging their loyalty and subtly sowing seeds of dissent against Victor. His charm and persuasive skills proved effective. Several associates began to question Victor's leadership and the direction of the company.